Most men over 50 think what's happening to their bodies is just age. They tell themselves this is normal now, that slowing down is inevitable, that losing firmness, stamina, and energy is just part of getting older. But that belief is the biggest mistake men make, and it's costing them far more than they realize. Because what's really happening inside your body has very little to do with age itself. The truth is, your body doesn't suddenly forget how to perform once you cross a certain birthday. What actually changes is something much more basic and much more fixable: blood flow. When blood can't move freely, nothing works the way it should. Not your muscles, not your nerves, not your confidence, and especially not the parts of your body that rely on strong, steady circulation. Think back to when you were younger. Your energy felt effortless. Recovery was faster. Your body responded without hesitation. That wasn't because you were younger. It was because your blood vessels were open, flexible, and responsive. Blood moved easily, delivering oxygen and nutrients exactly where they were needed. Your body felt alive because circulation was doing its job. Over time, everyday habits begin to interfere with that system. Stress, sugar, poor sleep, long hours sitting, even mild inflammation you don't feel day to day starts damaging the inner lining of your blood vessels. This lining is called the endothelium, and it controls one critical signal that determines whether blood vessels open or tighten. That signal is nitric oxide. Think of nitric oxide as the green light for blood flow. When it's present, blood vessels relax and open wide. When it's low, those vessels narrow, stiffen, and restrict circulation. As nitric oxide production drops, blood flow slows everywhere in the body. That's when men start noticing changes they don't like but can't quite explain. It's not just about performance, it's about how your whole body feels. Lower circulation means less oxygen reaching tissues. Muscles fatigue faster, recovery takes longer, hands and feet feel colder, energy dips without warning, and confidence starts to fade because your body no longer responds the way it used to. Imagine trying to water a garden with a hose that's bent and twisted. Even if the water pressure is strong, very little gets through. That's exactly what happens when blood vessels lose their ability to open. Your heart may still be working fine, but the pathways delivering blood are partially closed. The result is frustration, uncertainty, and the feeling that something has changed for good. But here's the part most men never hear. This process isn't permanent. Your blood vessels aren't dead. They're just waiting for the right signal to open again. The body is incredibly adaptive. When you restore nitric oxide and support the endothelium, blood vessels can relearn how to relax, expand, and deliver blood efficiently. That's why blaming age misses the real problem. Men in their 60s and even 70s can experience powerful improvements when circulation is restored. Not because they're reversing time, but because they're fixing the system that was quietly breaking down. Once blood flow improves, everything connected to it improves as well. This is where hope replaces frustration, because if the issue were age, there would be nothing you could do. But since the issue is blood flow, there is a solution. And it doesn't start with pills, prescriptions, or chemicals. It starts by giving your body the natural signals it needs to turn circulation back on. When you understand this, everything changes. You stop seeing yourself as someone past your prime. You start realizing your body is still capable, still responsive, and still powerful when supported the right way. And once blood flow comes back, the confidence you thought was gone often comes back with it. This is the foundation. Before any solution works, you have to understand the real cause. And now that you do, you're ready to learn how one simple drink can send that signal your blood vessels have been waiting for. Now that you understand the real problem isn't age, but blood flow, the next question becomes obvious. How do you turn circulation back on quickly, safely, and naturally? This is where most men get overwhelmed. They assume the answer has to be complicated, expensive, or locked behind prescriptions. But the truth is much simpler than that. There is one drink that directly targets the exact signal your blood vessels have been missing. Not slowly, not over months, but fast. In many men, it starts working within an hour, and it's been sitting in grocery stores this entire time. Beetroot juice, It doesn't sound impressive at first, it's not exotic, it's not marketed with flashy promises, but biologically, beetroot juice is one of the most powerful natural triggers for blood flow, especially in men over 50. And the reason comes down to one thing your body desperately needs more of: nitric oxide. Beetroot is naturally rich in compounds called nitrates. When you drink beetroot juice, those nitrates don't stay in your stomach. They move into your bloodstream, where your body converts them into nitric oxide. This is the same molecule that tells your blood vessels to relax, expand, and open wide. When nitric oxide levels rise, the smooth muscle surrounding your blood vessels loosens. The vessels widen. Blood moves more freely, oxygen delivery increases, pressure improves, and circulation surges to areas that rely on strong blood flow to function properly. Clinical studies have shown that beetroot juice can increase blood flow by up to 200% within about an hour. That's not a stimulant effect. It's not forcing your body to do something unnatural. It's restoring a signal that has been fading for years. This is why so many men describe a noticeable change after drinking it: a sense of warmth, a steady, pulsing energy, a feeling that circulation is finally waking up again. That sensation isn't imagined. It's blood moving through vessels that had been partially closed. But here's where most people get it wrong. Timing and amount matter. Drinking a random sip won't do much. To activate nitric oxide properly, you need about 8 to 16 ounces of pure beetroot juice. That's roughly 250 to 500 milliliters. And the ideal timing is about 45 to 60 minutes before activity, when nitric oxide levels peak in your bloodstream. You can make it fresh with a juicer or buy it bottled, but purity matters. Avoid blends loaded with added sugar. Sugar works against blood vessels by increasing inflammation and damaging the endothelium. If the taste is too earthy, you can soften it with a small splash of apple or ginger juice, but beetroot should make up most of the drink. Some men worry that something this simple can't really make a difference. But remember, your body doesn't need more chemicals. It needs better signals. Beetroot juice sends a clear message to your arteries that it's time to open up again. And unlike pills that override natural processes, this works with your biology. It doesn't exhaust your system. It doesn't create dependency. It simply restores a pathway that used to function effortlessly. This is why men in their 60s and 70s are seeing results they never expected. Not because they're chasing youth, but because they're fixing circulation at its source. Once blood flow improves, confidence often follows naturally. And this is only the first step. Because while beetroot juice turns nitric oxide on, there's another problem most men don't realize exists. Nitric oxide is fragile. If you don't protect it, it breaks down quickly. That's why the next piece is so important. There's a second drink that doesn't just boost blood flow, but keeps it active longer. And once you combine the two, the results become much more consistent and lasting. Once nitric oxide is activated, most men assume the job is done. Blood flow increases, circulation improves, and everything should stay that way. But this is where many natural solutions fall short. Nitric oxide is powerful, but it's also fragile. If it isn't protected, it begins to break down almost as quickly as it's produced. That's why some men feel a short boost and then notice it fading. This isn't a failure of the body, it's chemistry. Inside your bloodstream are free radicals and inflammatory compounds that destroy nitric oxide on contact. The more stress, sugar, and inflammation you've accumulated over the years, the faster that breakdown happens. So even if you trigger nitric oxide correctly, you need something that keeps it alive and working. This is where the second drink comes in. Something ancient, simple, and deeply underestimated: pomegranate juice. For thousands of years, pomegranate has been associated with strength, vitality, and endurance. But modern science now explains why it earned that reputation. Pomegranate juice is loaded with powerful antioxidants, especially a group called polyphenols. One of the most important is punicalagin. Think of these antioxidants as bodyguards. Their job is to neutralize free radicals before they can damage nitric oxide. When you drink pomegranate juice, Those compounds move into your bloodstream and create a protective environment where nitric oxide can survive longer and function better. This changes everything. Instead of a short-lived surge in blood flow, circulation becomes steadier and more reliable. Blood vessels stay relaxed. Oxygen delivery remains high, and the confidence that comes with strong circulation doesn't disappear after a brief window. Studies have shown that men who drink pomegranate juice regularly experience measurable improvements in blood flow and vascular health. In one major study, nearly half of the men reported that performance levels returned to something they hadn't felt in years. Not overnight, but consistently. That's the key difference. The timing here matters just as much as with beetroot. About 8 to 10 ounces of pure, unsweetened pomegranate juice is enough to do the job. Drinking it about an hour before activity helps extend nitric oxide levels right when you want them most. But the real power comes when it becomes part of a routine. When pomegranate juice is consumed daily, it begins to train your blood vessels. The endothelium becomes more responsive, inflammation decreases, nitric oxide doesn't just last longer in the moment, it becomes easier for your body to produce and maintain over time. This is why men often notice changes outside of intimacy as well. Better stamina during the day, more stable energy, improved recovery after physical activity. These are signs that circulation is improving at a deeper level. And there's something else happening here that most men don't expect. As blood flow stabilizes, mental confidence starts to return. When your body responds reliably, your mind stops second-guessing. That calm assurance is just as important as the physical effects. But pomegranate juice doesn't work alone. It works best as part of a system. Beetroot turns nitric oxide on. Pomegranate keeps it alive. Together, they create a foundation that supports strong, lasting circulation. Still, there's one more missing piece. Protecting nitric oxide is important, but what if your body could also make more of it naturally? What if there was a way to fuel the system even further without relying on supplements or pills? That's exactly what the next drink does, and it surprises almost every man who hears about it. At this point, you've seen how blood flow can be restored and protected, but there's still one limitation most men never address. Even when nitric oxide is activated and preserved, your body can only work with what it has available. To create lasting, powerful circulation, you also need a steady supply of the raw material that nitric oxide is made from. This is where many supplements promise results and quietly fail. You may have heard of arginine, an amino acid often sold as a nitric oxide booster. The problem is, when arginine is taken directly, most of it never reaches your bloodstream. Your digestive system breaks it down before it can do its job. So while the idea sounds good, the delivery is inefficient. Nature, however, solved this problem long ago, and it did it in one of the most refreshing, overlooked fruits available: watermelon. Inside watermelon, especially in the pale white rind, is a compound called citrulline. Citrulline works differently than arginine. When you consume it, it passes through your digestive system intact. It travels to your kidneys, where your body converts it into arginine, and only then does it turn into nitric oxide. This pathway is far more efficient. Instead of losing most of the compound during digestion, citrulline ensures your body has a steady, usable supply of arginine exactly when it needs it. The result is higher nitric oxide production that lasts longer and feels more stable. Men who drink watermelon juice regularly often notice improvements within a couple of weeks. Blood flow becomes more consistent, firmness improves, recovery feels easier, and because watermelon is naturally hydrating, it also supports blood volume, which further enhances circulation. To make it effective, preparation matters. Blend 3 to 4 cups of fresh watermelon cubes, including some of the white rind. That's where most of the citrulline lives. This produces about 12 to 16 ounces of juice. Drinking it about 30 to 60 minutes before activity gives your body time to convert citrulline into nitric oxide. Watermelon juice is naturally sweet, light, and easy to drink. Unlike supplements, it doesn't stress your system. It works in harmony with your biology, and when combined with beetroot and pomegranate, the effect becomes much stronger than any single drink alone. Here's why. Beetroot triggers nitric oxide production. Pomegranate protects it from breaking down. Watermelon fuels the system so more can be made. Together, they address three different stages of the same process: activation, protection, and production. This synergy is what most men are missing. They try one solution at a time and wonder why results feel inconsistent. But when these pathways are supported together, circulation doesn't just improve briefly, it begins to normalize. Men often describe the feeling as steadier and more natural, not overstimulated, not rushed, just a sense that the body is responding the way it's supposed to. That kind of response builds trust between the body and the mind, which is critical for confidence. And the best part is, this approach doesn't require forcing anything. You're not pushing your body beyond its limits. You're simply removing the barriers that have been in the way for years. This sets the stage for the final step, because once you know how to activate nitric oxide, protect it, and produce more of it, the real transformation comes from combining everything into one simple ritual. A method that brings all of these benefits together at the same time. That's where the most powerful results appear. This is where everything finally comes together. Up to now, you've learned how to turn blood flow back on, how to protect it, and how to help your body produce more of it naturally. But the real transformation doesn't happen when these things are used occasionally. It happens when they're combined into a simple, repeatable ritual that your body can rely on. This is what separates short-term improvement from lasting change. When beetroot, pomegranate, and watermelon are used together, they don't compete. They cooperate. Each one supports a different stage of circulation, creating a chain reaction inside your bloodstream. Beetroot activates nitric oxide. Watermelon fuels its production. Pomegranate protects it from breaking down. When all three are present, blood vessels receive a clear, uninterrupted signal to open and stay open. This combination is what many men describe as the moment their circulation truly wakes up, not in a jittery or artificial way, but in a steady, grounded way. Blood flow becomes smoother, energy feels more stable. The body responds without hesitation. The ritual itself is simple. In 1 glass or shaker, combine 8 ounces of pure beetroot juice, 6 ounces of fresh watermelon juice, and 4 ounces of pure pomegranate juice. That's it. An 18-ounce drink that supports circulation from multiple angles at once. Drink it at room temperature about an hour before activity. Men who use this ritual often describe a feeling of warmth spreading through the body after about 40 to 60 minutes. Not a rush, not a spike, just a deep sense of readiness. That warmth is blood moving freely through vessels that haven't fully opened in years. But the real power of this ritual isn't just what happens in that moment, it's what happens over time. When your body receives these signals consistently, it adapts. Blood vessels become more flexible, the endothelium becomes healthier, nitric oxide production becomes more efficient. Circulation starts improving even on days you don't use the full drink. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. You don't need to drink large amounts every day. You just need to give your body the right signals regularly. Many men notice that after a few weeks, their baseline energy improves. Recovery feels easier. Confidence becomes quieter and more natural instead of forced. To deepen the effect, the ritual can be supported with a simple daily routine. A small glass of pomegranate juice in the morning helps protect blood vessels throughout the day. A beetroot or watermelon drink in the afternoon keeps nitric oxide levels active. And when you know intimacy might happen later, that's when you return to the full combination. There are a few details that make a big difference. Hydration matters. Blood needs volume to move efficiently, so drinking water a few hours beforehand supports the entire process. Temperature matters too. Very cold drinks can briefly tighten blood vessels, so room temperature or slightly cool is ideal. Men often make the mistake of thinking more is better. It isn't. The body responds best to optimal amounts, not excess. Staying within the recommended ranges allows circulation to improve without unnecessary sugar or strain. What makes this ritual so powerful is that it restores trust. Trust between your body and your mind. When your body responds reliably, anxiety fades into the background. You stop worrying about performance and start enjoying connection again. This isn't about chasing youth, it's about restoring function. Your body already knows how to do this. It just needed the right support. And when circulation returns, so does the sense of control most men thought they'd lost. That's the real result. Not just better blood flow, but the confidence that comes from knowing your body is working with you again, not against you.